This is the third video in the inventory series, Inventory in QuickBooks. We're going to cover selling, which is actually a pretty simple concept for inventory items. It doesn't change a lot from that and selling services or other things. But there are a couple of unique things I wanted to look at that, so we're going to show that in this video. To selling inventory, we're going to use the same sales documents for our customers. Could be an invoice or could be a sales receipt, depending on whether we're getting paid at the time of the sale or we're going to bill the customer later. Let's choose our customer here, Christy Abercrombie. And I will accept the default date and invoice number here. Is the item that we've been using to kind of see how the inventory features in QuickBooks work. So I'm going to put brass hinges on the invoice. I'm going to sell her 10 of these. And let's sell those at $7.50. Now, so I just, to make sure that you realize, you see this little icon here. If you're using QuickBooks Pro, you're not going to see this. This is what QuickBooks calls an available to sell. It gives me kind of a little synopsis here of what's happening with this item. I have 276 on hand. I have 45 reserved for assemblies. We haven't really covered assemblies in this video series. That's for someone that does some light manufacturing. In other words, they might use several different parts to combine together into one finished product. So we're not looking at that. But in the sample file, we do have that where 45 are reserved for that kind of a manufacturing situation. And then we also have 20 left on purchase orders that aren't in yet. So it kind of gives me an idea of what's happening with this item. Now, this is you only see this if you have the premier level of QuickBooks in an industry type that has inventory. So like manufacturing and wholesale and distribution, retail, something like that. Those industry specific versions would have this feature, but Pro will not. But as long as I use the inventory item there, my sale is pretty much like any other sale. I will go ahead and save and close that. And then I'm just going to take a moment here to make the point that when I sell the inventory is when the expense happens. It's something I've mentioned a couple of times in these videos. The income, I believe the income is in materials income. So if I look down here, I would see a Christy Abercrombie. There's the 1101 invoice, the $75. That's it. That's the income. But if I look down here in cost of goods sold, here we go. Okay, so the transactions totaling up that cost of goods sold feature also contains invoice 1101 to Christy Abercrombie. The cost of those brass hinges was $30.27. So if I double click on that, it's going to bring up an invoice. And there's no, it doesn't show that $30 cost anywhere on the invoice. Some people get confused by that. Sometimes when you purchase the inventory, remember, it's not an expense. It just goes into another asset called inventory asset that has value that you own. So it doesn't show on the profit and loss. But when you sell the inventory items, then it does become a cost because you no longer own them. But QuickBooks creates that transaction in the background. So that $30.27, you don't have to worry about that. QuickBooks will take care of that when you sell those inventory items. So that's really about it for purchase. You don't have to really do anything different except just be sure you use the right inventory type item in order to make the sale. The rest of the accounting, QuickBooks does in the background. So the next video we're going to do will be the last one, and we'll kind of look at how to manage the inventory with maybe the count doesn't come out quite what you have on hand, how to make those kinds of corrections, and just a couple of quick reports that kind of give you an idea of where you are as far as inventory and a couple of other little common mistakes that, that you'll want to avoid. Thanks for watching.